Konnichiwa. Good afternoon to everyone. For the foreign language class in Japanese, we were able to put up several story books and storytelling. So I'm here to give the instruction regarding the compilation of the final output. So I am here to show you several comments and also suggestions with your output, such as your poster, your trailer, your storytelling, and your storybook. So what I have in mind is a compilation for both sections. So one output composed of four storybooks. So there are at least, as mentioned in the other video, eight by group and two individual works. So I intend to upload and set a premiere of the two individual works, which I would explain in greater detail a bit later on. So let me show you and annotate some of the comments that I have regarding your output in foreign language 2 class. So again, I'd like to show my appreciation with your compliance and your best effort. So during the first half of the semester, I ask you to familiarize yourselves with the hiragana alphabet, and the second half is regarding katakana letters. And for you to be able to be familiar with it, you need to come up with your flashcards based on your respective groupings. So the first group was assigned to come up with words, terms, and concept regarding natural heritage. And also the second group was assigned to built heritage, and the third group is about movable, and the last group about intangible cultural heritage. So during the first half of the semester, what I asked the students of English language studies to do is a pecha kucha presentation. So we're not able to get accepted in the conference that I was hoping that you'd be able to submit your respective abstract, but nevertheless, I thank you for your best effort. So this time, in congruence to our Buknuk Marinduque launching, I was originally hoping that your storybooks would be able to be presented last November 24. But nonetheless, I'd like to incorporate some of your works in our growing collection of stories for children and young adults. So I would show some of the output, which I hope that be included in the catalog of your storybooks and your storytelling video. So the storybooks would be compiled and anthologized in PDF format, while your video materials would be uploaded in the YouTube channel of Buknuk Marinduque. So I'd like to show you an example of trailer. So between 30 seconds to 90 seconds. So this one falls exactly the 90-second running time. So let's see and watch.
Of all the miraculous content, of all the enchanting and valuable story, there has never been anything like the story of an enchanted cow in Santa Cruz, Marinduque.
Long time ago, there was an old woman named Iyo who allegedly saw the golden cow.
There's no cow there on the top. Why, I'm hearing a moving cow there. What is that bright and
golden cow!
This is incredible. With this gold, I will be able to buy food for myself and for my neighbors. This can help many people.
Yang's life instantly changed because of what she had discovered. She became rich and used all her money to never.
My luck and success came from the golden cow there on that mountain.
What? A golden cow? Oh, she's insane.
You're gonna love this story, the story of an enchanted cow in Santa Cruz, Marinduque.
Okay. So let me say a few words regarding this particular type of material. So of course, in terms of originality, I saw the effort of crediting where credit is due. Kaya merong author. Pero at the same time, we have to be conscious that sometimes folk literature or folk tales or even other types of stories have no particular ownership. So what we do have is a particular version. So I'd like to bring up this kind of concern. You don't have to change anything, but your perspective or your viewpoint, you could enrich and enhance it in the near future. So what I mean to say is the materials that you choose is not particularly unique in Santa Cruz because there are also related stories about golden ship, yung gintong vapor. And apart from this enchanted cow, yung gintong baka, there are other similar stories. So we need to understand that one of the most persistent and enduring intangible cultural heritage is language. So we share this in common with our ancestors, our Austronesian ancestors. Although we are focusing our attention with Japanese language, so language is one of the enduring and persistent intangible cultural heritage that their respective ancestors pass on to one generation to the next. So this particular trailer of a particular story should be treated as such. So it's a heritage, pamana. So there's a part of transmission. So we need to be clear on this so that we can understand this better. Okay? So let's also take a look at the other heritage, the built heritage. So let me show you this particular example. So I will annotate because it's not a video. So this is the composition of your catalog. So of course yung video would be uploaded. But in the storybook or the PDF file, what we will see is the storybook. So because this is a Japanese language course, so we need to first write a story and put it in the format of a visual or graphic book. So the content should be the English story or story written in English to be translated to Japanese. So I'm not just sure what particular built heritage is being depicted in this particular output. So the group can improve or choose to enhance this or leave it as is, as long as next time around they can understand this better. So yung kanina intangible cultural heritage, this time tangible built heritage. So merong baluarte. So in Marinduque, there are at least two or three extant uh, or specimen of baluarte. So I'm not sure about this group what particular baluarte they are referring to. So this is good, except that we are not misleading our audience or our readers. So if somebody would ask, so we should be able to provide some explanation for this. Because the graphics that is used or was employed in this particular storybook, I think could be improved and be better if this was more accurate with the topic. So what is written here is a well-preserved heritage is one of the known heritages in the province. So assumingly province of Marinduque, but the graphics is not very consistent or congruent with the text. So I would not comment on the language part, but offhand, what you can see are combination of hiragana, katakana, and some kanji characters, which we did not discuss at all in our class, only hiragana and katakana. So this is a bit of a red flag. So to continue, according to the history, there's no exact year as to when it was built. So it was assumed it was built during the Spanish period in 1700 to 1800. So this estimate is based on the year of construction of Jesuit churches in the Philippines. So there are some facts, but we need to check or verify these facts. So for example, in the town of Buak, which we are celebrating the 399 Foundation Week last week, which coincided with the feast day of the Our Lady of Immaculate Conception. There are some questions about the date of founding of the town of Buak. So the date that we are counting down is 1622. That's why by next year it would be the quadricentennial. So itong 1700 to 1800, medyo malaking talon to. It's about a century, 100 years to be exact. So medyo over or underestimate ito. So if you talk about Jesuit period or during the time when the Jesuits came not only in the Philippines but in the province of Marinduque, this should be counter-check. So 1580, meron ng civil town of Buwak before the founding of the church, which what we have today is the Buwak Cathedral, but earlier than the church would be the founding of the pueblo or the town during the Spanish period. So that's why I'm reminded that before this course, students of English language studies have already took up introduction to culture, language, and society. So that's why it's a very important skill to have. So if the group can address some of the inconsistencies, then it would be better. So next, based on the history confessed by Mr. Gregorio de Luna, born in the 10th day of May 1987, this was built to serve as a watchtower, watch lover, I'm not sure, and a place of Spanish soldiers in ancient times because the town was often attacked by Moro pirates to capture captive personnel. So it's kind of confusing. So also we need to be more sensitive about Moro and pirates. Not all Moro are pirates and not all pirates are Moro. So I'm not sure about Gregorio de Luna, and how significant his account is. So history is not confessed. So history is a product of a conscious process of historiography. So maybe this is one account, but it would not qualify all the time for history. So maybe a story, but not history. So moving on, it has two wooden doors, one facing the former port and the second door is on the other side. From here, the guards could see if there were any ships coming, especially if they were Moros, and warn the people by ringing the church bell. So if I would imagine what particular place is this, I would assume that this is in Santa Cruz, but I am not sure because it doesn't say in the story itself. Unlike the previous example, it is pretty obvious, but in this particular storybook, it is not. So according to personal interviews in ancient times, it was said that there was a staircase down under the said heritage. They believed that there was a tunnel under it whose end was the nearby church. The tunnel is said to be the route used by the guards to warn the church that there are enemies coming. So see, Moro, then pirates, then now enemies. So probably enemies of the church, but not the enemy of the people because some of our ancestors are seafarers and they are called mangangayaw. And the practice that they uh, are doing back in those days is warfare in defense of their uh, belongings. So it depends who is the aggressor and who is in defense. So in this narrative, it doesn't really show both sides. So only one side. So it's a bit biased. Then last, it also became the headquarters of the police or the Philippine Constabulary during the martial law era. It's also become the office of the local agency of the fishermen because it is close to the former port. I'm not sure what former port you are referring to. So if it's in Barangay Bitik in Lapu-Lapu and that's the baluarte that you are referring to, then the daungan there is going to the islands of Maniwaya, Mongpong, and Pulo. But it doesn't say in your narrative. So I would suggest that you revisit your source material so that it would be verified because it's a bit misleading. So we do not want to mislead our audience. So on that note, may I just suggest respectfully for consideration of the students of this who belong to this group to kindly verify your facts and have it checked because without facts, as Maria Reza said, there would be no truth and we are concerned about veracity and truth here, not really as fiction or fictive accounts, but something that is uh, closer to reality. So again, this is part of your catalog of your storybook in PDF format. The video materials would be included in the Book Nook Marinduque YouTube page or channel, and the storybook that you're going to revise would be integrated in the proceedings. So moving on. So apart from the teaser or the preview and the storybook itself, it's also noteworthy to include the poster of your story. Kumbaga ito yung cover page. So if your topic is about Bila-Bila Festival, it's kind of interesting that you incorporated a legend. So if you're going to study what legend or myths or folklore or folk story is all about, so there are some minute nuances and differences that you need to be sensitive. But of course, this is secondary. What is important here is the language skills of translation and applying the sentence pattern and using the vocabulary from your flashcards. But I appreciate this better because you need to think of a graphical representation so that it's like looking at the person. So you take a look at the facial features. If it is attractive, then you want to know more. You want to deepen your appreciation if you know better. But in the picture or in the graphical representation, if it's not attractive at first sight, so the first impression might not lead to a better appreciation of your work. So I choose this particular examples so that we can improve our taste and our skills in English language studies. Kasi we know English as our second and foreign language, but this is our area of specialization. So we need to have a mastery of this particular language. And Japanese being a foreign language is also necessary for you to appreciate English better, and hopefully it would go full circle with your own mother tongue and in Filipino as our national language. So regarding your cover, so you need to think of a concept and you need to execute your plan so that you can come up with the best possible outcomes. So if you have a good plan, so there's no harm in trying to come up with a better one. Or of course, we need to exert our best effort so that we can come up with the best possible result out of this. So apart from the storybook itself, you need also to have a cover, and uh, this would be included in the proceedings. Okay, so apart from the storybook and the cover, so let us watch a full version of the story. So not only the preview. So let's see.
The Legend of Amingon. Long before the Spaniards came in the Philippines, trading was already known to its natives. By the effort of the diligent Moro fishers and merchants from the southern part of the Philippines, products apart from fish were traded in other areas of the country. These Moros also sell herbal medicines made from different parts of plants they believe to cure diseases. In one of the balangays at the coast of Boac town contains the most residents, which makes it a trading capital. In these coastlands, the ships of Moros abundant with the fishes and different products for trade. And that is why Ali Muon, a fisherman and a faith healer, is having a good time trading on this part of the country. Trade was doing well until one day a disease called culebra spread through the town. The head of the barangay sadly told to Ali Moon,
8-year-old children, they cry in pain from the swelling of wounds all over their body. There's nothing we could do for the people.
As he quacked, Ali Mungon offered help to the people of the town. He first hoped to heal the family of Impongoria, which they agreed in the hope of prolonging their lives. Then, off he went and looked for a cure. Ali Mungon came back with dried woods of a muyong tree and set it on fire. The smoke covered the town and the people complained over the foul smell it brought. The quack explained,
The smell of the smoke will drive the bad spirits away, which are trying to take over the town.
He then boiled the seeds of the plant on a pot of oil. After cooling down, he applied the mixture on the swollen areas of Impongoria's sick family. Ali Mungon had his continuous ritual. As the sun comes up, he would start the fire and keep the woods burning. Smoke will scatter throughout the town. Mending the wounds of Impongoria's family was done at sunrise and at dawn. After 5 days, the family was overjoyed. The swelling was gone. The news spread fast. People piled outside the house of Impongoria in search for the cure. Ali Mungon didn't hesitate and shared the wonders of a muyong tree, how and what it cures. In no time, the folks were healed. Once again, the town was alive. Ali Mungon felt glad. However, of the inevitable, Ali Mungon is also a trader. He had to bid farewell to the townsfolk and travel to other places. With the help of Impongoria, the head of the Balangay held a day-long farewell party for Ali Mungon. The people brought their offers in return of Ali Mungon's kindness. After a showcase of native dances, the head of the Balangay paused the celebration and said,
At this moment, I pronounce the Balangay a rule be named.
The people agreed and suggested names for the Balangay, including Ali Mungon. One of the folk said,
Ang amuyong, ang amoy na iyon. Kung di roon baka wala na tayong lahat.
meaning it was the smell of amuyong. If not for the plant, they could have been gone by now.
Ang amuyong, ang amoy na iyon. Kundi roon, baka wala na tayong lahat.
Another one echoes. Meanwhile, as Impongorya continues the cooking for the celebration, he accidentally used the amuyong as firewood. The smoke with the foul smell is squandered once again.
Ang amuyong ang amoy na iyon, kundi roon baka wala na tayong lahat.
Chants the woman healed by Ali Mungon. Due to the fact that the Balangay is abundant in amuyong, which Ali Mungon shared his knowledge of, a clever kagawad of the Balangay suggested to conjoin Ali Mungon and ang amuyong ang amoy na iyon. It was then a Mingon was coined. As the sound of the tambuli blew, the head of the Balangay hugged Ali Mungon and immediately raised his hand with a loud shout of,
Amingon!
Everyone some claps and cheers as an indication of their approval. After the celebration, Ali Mungon prepared to set off. On the shore were the waving people of Amingon, feeling the bittersweet moment as Ali Mungon began to sing. Once again, they shouted,
Amingon!
Amoyngon.
Amingon!
Okay. So quite interesting. So if in the during the second semester, when the students are still taking ELS 109, so one of the tasks is to find out about place names, yung toponymy. So I remember that we assigned some of your classmates to investigate regarding the place names or how the name of the place was originated. So Amigon is a bit interesting because this is, I think, one of the only instance that you were able to make direct use of your research in toponymy and utilize it in your foreign language class. So I find it commendable, but at the same time, if you remember a bit earlier, we showed another example about Moro and about the built heritage of Baluarte. So this is a bit more sensitive depiction, more sympathetic depiction of the Moros. But I think we need to dwell a little bit about the other things presented in the video. So I think with the support of further studies or research, one can justify the content of the story because we do not want to have the wrong impression that the names of the places that we live in are just a result of mispronunciation or a misnomer at best. So it is not. So we need to dig deeper about the veracity and the truthfulness of this particular story. But for me, it is just fine at this point, but there should be a disclaimer. So just like the first teaser about the enchanted cow, so there's a credit where credit is due. So since this is a folk tale or not really a legend or a myth, but the collective is the author, so not one particular person. But perhaps there's someone who told you the story or your resource person, so you need to credit this as well, so that others who would want to pursue, then they can. So they can verify also. Okay, so moving on. So there are two more that I'd like to show you as an example of a storybook. And just a caveat. So this is one of the two materials that I would need to upload and indicate that this is not for children. So it's age restricted. But for purposes of discussion, I'd like to show you as an example. So this is the work of Miss Rica Frente, and from the other section, the work of Miss Rulan. So I also appreciate this. It's just that I do not want to include this in the in the general classification. So this is a different category altogether. So I think this can stand alone. So apart from the four by group or collective output, so you do not need to include this in the proceeding. So this is a class of its own, as sui generis. So again, let me emphasize that uh, both of the works of Miss Rica Frente and Miss Rulan is a bit different from the rest. So precisely, it should be treated as such. So, iba yung itsura niya, iba yung content niya. So, it would be an injustice kung isasama natin ito. So, not to treat the other works as different, but to treat it sensibly and sensitively. So this is a different work altogether that I don't think would be on the same league with the other storybook. So this is a storybook on itself. Apart from the length of 56 pages, I don't think that, although arguably PDF is has a smaller file size, so only one third of the materials I can show you because I'm going to upload this later for review and reference of your classmates. So again, what is included in the proceedings is just the storybook, the cover, and um, while the trailer and the full video would be included in the YouTube channel. But if you can manage, what I would suggest so that you could put this in proper format, what you can do is try to get the screen capture or the screen grab of your trailer. So that would be additional effort on your end. But then again, as I've said, if you want to get the best possible result or outcome, then you need to exert much effort. So if you are satisfied with this already, then it's up to you. So I would not dwell on this any longer. So as long as you understand that I would be needing proceedings of your storybooks, I already showed you the example with the cover, with the contents, and the respective messages. So again, with due respect to Miss Roland and Miss Rica Frente, I would not ask them to include this in your proceedings, but the rest, you're not exempted. You need to compile at least four works from Section A and another four from Section B. So let's continue with the last example. So this is for the third group regarding intangible cultural heritage. So in particular, this work on Tawak. Incidentally, I also handle a cross-cultural communication class where there is a topic with the same end in mind. So about Tawak. So the storybook goes, one peaceful morning, Armando went to climb the Malindig Mountain to see the beauty of its entirety up view. With him came Chambi, his pet dog. While walking along the grassy path, Armando stepped on a venomous snake without noticing it. As a response, he got beaten on his left leg. Armando screamed in shock and fear while his dog barked to repel the snake. Armando calmly wrapped his left leg, lie down to prevent the venom from climbing up his body. Sometime later, an old woodcutter passed by the forest, and the old man immediately took Armando to his small home when he saw his getting weak from the snake bite. He knew what to do because he used to practice pagtatawak. He started by putting oil on a small wooden horn-shaped stick, pointed it to the affected part, and then blew it. After that, using a stick, the beaten part is cut and sucked, then wrapped in a clean cloth. Armando is safe now, thanks to the magtatawak who saved his life. He peacefully went home and forever treasures the compassion by the of the friend he made that day. So it's the end. So I think I could also appreciate this kind of work because it's about intangible cultural heritage. What it means is there's a cultural practice that is being transmitted from one generation to the next by means of a culture bearer. And this particular culture bearer has been the receiving end of a particular knowledge or system or practice that has been handed down from the earlier ancestors to the present. And what is important in coming up with stories or narrating about intangible cultural heritage are the particular uh, ingredients or elements and the actual processes that entails the practice. So what you depicted, I think, is not consistent. So as based on earlier and previous readings, I think what you are referring to as pagtatawag is pagtatandok. So pagtatandok is quite different from pagtatawag. Although in some places you need to qualify that people make no distinction between pagtatandok and pagtatawag. It's the same thing. But if you try to read and have more research, in-depth research, you would notice that pagtatawag involves the use of many flora or plants. And people who practice this do it during the Holy Week season or the Lenten month. So during First Friday. So that's the concoction out of this. So you need to document the ingredients and the uh, preparation of tawak. So that's tawak. On the other hand, what tandok or pagtatandok is the practice of getting the venom out or the poison out of someone who has been beaten. Precisely what you've depicted in the storybook. So what I'm saying is there are some information or data that needs processing so that you can get the bottom at the bottom of this so that when others would watch or see or read your work so they would not be misled. So it's better that you take everything with a grain of salt and be able to distinguish what is fact and what is fiction. So although this is in foreign language, so this is still useful in culture and language studies. So we're using a bit different medium, but just the same, we are concerned with narratives. So on that note, I hope that respective groups would be able to collate your materials in the form of proceedings of the storybooks. And since you already submitted the video materials, so just if you feel compelled, then you change or edit the video. So it follows that you should also revise and modify your storybook. But if you think that you don't have enough time and you are done already, so just make a disclaimer that at best of your knowledge, this is accurate, but just tell that you only succeeded in uh, getting information at this particular sources. So it's not exhaustive of all the sources, so therefore it's a bit limited. So if there are questions, so you are also open to suggestions and opinion of others. So feedback is appreciated and input is welcome. So on that remark, so I hope that you would still have enough time to pursue the storybook. It has been an interesting semester given the limitation. So I congratulate all of you. Omedetou gozaimasu. So watashi wa Randy Noboresa desu. Nihongo sensei desu. Congratulations and omedetou.